Hi everyone, it's Debbie Mirza, the author of The Covert Passive Aggressive Narcissist. Today I'm going to be talking to you about anger. This has been coming up a lot lately. I had someone comment and ask me to talk about this on YouTube, and I've recently had coaching clients who have been asking me, telling me they have so much anger inside them and they don't know what to do with it, and they find themselves lashing out at their kids and they don't want to do that, but they're just so wounded from the experience of, living with a narcissist, especially a covert narcissist, but for sure both. And they're wondering how to deal with that. So, which I totally understand. And so that's what the topic for today is. And I hope it's really helpful for you. I want to start off by saying, I would say a lot of us were raised in households where we were not taught what to do with our anger. Anger is a normal thing. There's nothing to be shamed about. Shamed. There's no. Okay, let me start over. We're not really taught what to do with it. Either we were raised where we witnessed anger being really explosive and destructive. Or maybe you were raised in a family where there was shame attached to it. There we go. The thoughts clicked together. And, looked at it as a bad and negative thing, and you should always be nice and you should always be, sweet and kind and tender, especially if you were a woman. A lot of us were raised with that message. So when we deal with someone who's a narcissist, of course we're going to feel a ton of anger. And underneath anger is that grief and sadness. So what I recommend with anger and all emotions, you want to first, when you start feeling angry, you want to first acknowledge it. And sometimes as simply as saying, I'm really feeling angry right now. This was me yesterday. I was like, I don't know why, but some days I was like, I'm just feeling so much anger. And so I've learned through a lot of self-care to be okay with that and to allow myself that and to also be with it in that moment. Because what happens is if you don't acknowledge your anger, if you try and suppress it, if you try to immediately go to, let me think positive thoughts, it's still in there. It needs to be addressed. One of my favorite movies is French Kiss. I just had a visual. I love Meg Ryan's in it. It was like a 1990s movie. And she just talks about you got to let your anger out. It'll just fester, 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 fester. And it's true. And so what you want to do so it doesn't build, and then you blow, is allow it to come up every time it does. And so when you acknowledge, so that's step number one, acknowledge it. I'm feeling anger, and that's okay. The next step is to ask your body, just be with yourself and feel into it and ask yourself, what do you need right now? What is it like? What, because if we really sit with ourselves, we can get in touch with, yesterday, for instance, when I felt really angry yesterday, I thought, what is it I need? Because it wasn't attached to anything specific. I just started feeling angry. And I needed to just be with myself. I needed to stop what I was doing and just be with it. And sometimes I need to just be quiet and listen to it. All right, tell me more, have this conversation with yourself. Other times when you're angry and you sit with, what is it I'm feeling like I want to do? That's the thing to really listen to. Sometimes it's like, I need to get out of my house, out of my office, whatever, and I need to go on a walk. I need to get into nature. Or my son in the basement has one of those big things that you punch. And so sometimes I'll just go down there and kick that thing over and over and over. Or, if you have young kids and you don't want to let out this anger that you have in front of them, wait till they're in school, or kind of tell your body like, I'm going to attend to you, but I can't right now. And then drop them off at school, and then when you're coming back in your car, just rage. Scream, cry. Sometimes I have certain songs that when I'm angry, especially with, narcissists in my life, I'll turn on that song. One of the songs I listen to is Kesha. It's literally the only Kesha song I know. But it's called Praying. If you don't know that one and you're feeling angry and you need an outlet, that's a good one to just crank up in your car and just sing it at the top of your lungs. So it's part of, anything in life. We're going to experience things that bring up our emotions. And the best way to deal with them is to learn yourself and what works for you. Everybody's different. I talked to one woman, a client of mine, and she said this was really helpful to her because she hadn't heard this aspect of dealing with anger. So I'm going to share that with you. With her, I got the sense that, and also from asking her questions, she also wasn't taught what to do with her anger. She was as a child. So she was a child that was feeling anger, but she kept it bottled up because it wasn't okay to let it out. Her parents were really volatile, and it was okay for them, but not okay for their kids to show feelings, which I'm sure a lot of you will relate to. So I told her, there is still a child in you that wasn't heard. So now as an adult, you need to take time to address that child. And that could even be, there's a therapy system, I don't know what to call it, process called IFC, Internal Family Systems, created by Dr. Richard Schwartz, which is really fascinating. I really like the work he's doing. And so if you want, you can Google him. He has I think the sum of all parts or something like that. But you put in Dr. Richard Schwartz, sum of your parts, SUM, and something will pop up. But he has something on Audible you can listen to. So, and articles and things like that. But what he talks about is how I spoke with this client. And I said, and I do this myself, it's really powerful. It's really helpful and healing. Sometimes I will lay down when I'm feeling anger or when I'm feeling sadness or when I'm noticing I'm sabotaging myself in some way. I will lay down and close my eyes and ask for that part of me who's feeling this to step forward. And I'll ask her, it's a very intuitive process. It's a very left brain, which is helpful because it helps you get to your subconscious instead of, where we normally live, think from. And so it's a very creative process and it's a very intuitive, there's general structure to it, but then kind of just let yourself go on this journey and just be willing to play and see what comes up. So I will speak to that young girl in me. Let's say it's anger. Let's say I'm feeling a lot of anger. I'll say, can you, whoever's feeling angry inside me, can we talk? And sometimes you'll see yourself as a little girl. And sometimes you won't. Depends how you see things. Sometimes you'll just sense it. And I'll ask her, tell me how old you are. And I'll hear 8. And I'll ask her, tell me what you're angry about. And you'll hear things. And then Richard Schwartz talks about is like, there's reasons we sabotage, there's reasons we're angry, there's reasons we're fearful, and they're all locked up inside of us. And it all started with childhood. And these parts of us were not heard. And so it's time for us to give them attention, to acknowledge them. And he said, it's kind of like they think you're still 8 years old and they think they need to protect you, they're actually coming from a good place. They're just coming from a childlike mind. And now you're older and you have more wisdom. So you can even ask them, like I'll ask my 8-year-old self, how old do you think I am? And you'll hear 8. And then it's this conversation I have laying down in my bed or on the couch or wherever. And then I'll say to them, let me tell you my real age. And then I'll tell them my real age. And what's fascinating is instantly you feel your body like exhale. It's like you can feel this little young part in you, like, really? You're an adult? And then I'll say to them, I was married, I have kids now, I'm doing this, and we're okay. You don't have to protect me anymore. I want to thank you for being here all these years, but I want you to play. I want you to feel good, It's a really powerful thing. So if you feel like trying it, and you can look for that sum of your parts or something like that, because he'll walk you through exercises like that. Or if you want, I do coach people through things like that, where I will walk them through. And sometimes that's easier if you're having a hard time doing it on your own. So if you sign up for a coaching session with me, just let me know you'd like me to take you through that process. Or you can look in your area too. There's different therapists that are trained in it. So anyway, with anger, like any emotion, you want to acknowledge it and you want to meet it with love and acceptance and kindness. You want to let your anger know that it's okay that you're angry. You want to let yourself know it's okay to be angry, and then take time to be with yourself and ask what you need. What is it this anger needs right now? Maybe you need to stop everything and be quiet and just listen. Maybe you need to speak to yourself in a really kind way and reassuring way and telling yourself, I get it. I get why you're angry and you have every right to be, and you can be as angry as long as you want to be angry. It's like our emotions need permission in a sense. And what you'll find is, I think the fear a lot of us have is like, oh, if I say that, I'm never going to stop being angry. But the opposite is true. If you listen to it, if you acknowledge it, if you give it permission, then it relaxes. It's like, oh, okay. And you'll feel it in your body. You'll feel yourself calm down. And sometimes anger is leading you to cry. It's leading you to just purge. I mean, sometimes when I'm home alone and I'm feeling angry, I will just let out loud, yelling about everything I'm angry about. And then usually it ends up in tears, where I'm like curled up crying, because that's really where you're getting to what's really underneath the anger. And be there with yourself and take care of yourself. And for some of you, this might be a really new way of being with yourself. But with time, the more you do this, the more you'll really learn and connect with yourself in a really beautiful and healing way. And it will really change your life. So yeah, hope that helps. Talk about anger. It's completely fine you feel angry. There is nothing wrong with it. And it makes all the sense in the world. You feel angry for a reason. There's nothing wrong with you. So I love you all. I hope you have a really good day, and I will talk to you soon.